Welcome back to Pace Immigration, paceimmigration.com. Talking once again with immigration lawyer Michael O'Rourke. Michael, good to see you.
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
It's going well, but I'm fielding a lot of comments and emails and things in social media land on CUAET, and there's some confusion. And it reminded me, honestly, of the Genesis song today. It was going through my head, Land of Confusion, because a lot of people are confused, and I don't blame them. CUAET is the Canada-Ukraine Authorization for Emergency Travel. Let's talk a little short bit about its history and what it was for, and then we'll dive into how it works now. Michael, what is CUAET? What was it for?
Sure. So the Canadian government, in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, opened up an extraordinary pathway for Ukrainians fleeing the war, and it permitted people to come to Canada. It was both a temporary residence visa that let Ukrainians and their dependents come into the country for up to 3 years, and it also provided other benefits such as applying for work or study permits without any sort of fee.
Right. So the program itself, however, was closed, as we've got here, on July 15th, 2023. But there are some people that took advantage of the program, not took advantage in a nefarious way, but that took advantage of the program that never did make it over to Canada yet. And I've been getting questions like this one. So I paraphrased it into this question here. Quote, I already was approved for a CUAET visa, but I haven't come to Canada yet. Is it still usable as a visitor's visa, a work permit? How long? So there's people out there that were approved. The program is now closed, but they've got it. Can they still use it?
Sure. So the answer, it depends. So if your visa issued under CUAET is still valid, then you can still enter the country. It should be, because we still haven't reached the 3rd anniversary of the invasion. But is it valid for a work permit? Not if you haven't applied. And this very helpful blurb from the Canadian government on the screen now helps to muddy the waters.
I know. Let me tell you, let's just take a quick break here so I can put this up, because I put this up because this is what people are dealing with. And this is only one part of a graph on the Canadian government's page on all of this, which you can keep scrolling through. But March 31st, 2024 is the crux of the matter, because a lot of people have seen words like what's at the top of the blurb here, last day to enter Canada under the CUAET special measures. And it's scaring them, quite frankly, and I don't blame them, because they're like, wait a minute, I haven't gotten to Canada yet. Does that mean that the CUAET visa goes kaput if I'm not there by March 31st, 2024, Michael?
So what you need to do in parsing this is to understand what the CUAET special measures are, because I think in our bureaucratic description of these programs, that's what really matters here. So prior to March 31, 2024, if you have a CUAET visa, you can still come into the country and you can still apply for a work or study permit cost-free. If you come in on April 1st or later and your visa is still valid, you can still use it to travel to Canada, but you don't get the benefit of applying for a study or work permit for free. You might not also get that 3-year period of entry. You might be limited to the typical 6-month entry. So in some of the program materials, it talks about converting to a standard temporary resident, or in our parlance, a visitor visa, to move beyond the CUAET program.
Okay, so that clears it up a little bit, I think. The one thing I will ask, however, CUAET basically is now in the rear view mirror. I know that they've said that they are anything that was people who applied for it before that date in July of 23, they're still going to process that, but obviously no new applications have been accepted since then. In other words, Ukrainians are now just like everybody else when it comes to visitor visas, yes?
Exactly. So they have to apply in the normal course online. They have to pay fees. They if they want to apply for a work or study permit, they have to have either a job offer or an offer of admission to a designated learning institution in Canada. So they're on par with everybody else in the world. The special measures of QAT have gone away as of March 31st.
Now, so we'll put CUAET in the rearview mirror for us, but we will talk about another program that came up. And I've gotten this question as well in social media and things, people are asking because it's actually quite a powerful program when you get down to it. What about the permanent resident program for Ukrainians who have a relative living in Canada? And I've got a slide coming up here with some rules if you go through those, because this program, if you're Ukrainian national and you are in Canada and you have a Canadian relative, you're in luck.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And this was promised early on after the invasion, and it took the government a while to get there. But with what they came out, it's great. It's much broader than any other family-based type of permanent residence program. You can have a much broader definition of who can sponsor you. So it can be spouses, children, parents, grandparents, half siblings, siblings. So it's very broad. As long as that person, the sponsor, is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, they can sponsor you, your spouse, your children, and your grandchildren. So much broader than what we typically see in permanent residence family sponsorship applications.
Right. One thing we really need to highlight, though, and I want to make that crystal clear, we've got it highlighted there in Canada. The foreign national, the Ukrainian, has to be in Canada.
Yes, you have to be in Canada when you submit the application, and you have to be in Canada when you land, to use the old term, when you become a permanent resident. So, of course, you can travel in and out as long as you have a proper visa, visitor visa, etc. But you need to be in Canada physically to submit the application and to land.
And the family members do not, however. So it's you are in Canada, and then basically you're tethered to people that might still be overseas.
Right, because the family members have to have the status of being either permanent residents or citizens of Canada.
Okay. I think we cleared some things up there, Michael. We have a lot of questions. I was going through the various websites and going through the material, and we were talking off camera for a while before all this. Anything else that you would like people out there to know about CUAET and how it's in the rearview mirror and what's going to happen going forward?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that even though they closed applications to the CUAET program in July, it's still possible to apply for visitors visas. It's still possible to use your CUAET visa if it's still valid, because in Canada, a visa is a visa is a visa. It will allow you to come into the country. So even if you come into the country using just a regular temporary residence visa or visitor visa, you can still apply for permanent residence under this Ukrainian program if you qualify. So you don't have to join the two together. They're separate benefits that you can or can't take advantage of depending on how you want.
Excellent. And to clear up any confusion about immigration, Michael O'Rourke is the person to talk to. Michael O'Rourke, M.O'Rourke at pacelawfirm.com. Michael, thanks for this. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Sean. Take care.
Bye-bye.